Hey, JK here. I want to thank you for sharing part of your day with me.
Y'all ready for this?
Welcome back to 30 Teams in 30 Days. Before we get to the team, I want to go ahead and address the elephant in the room. Yes, this is a one-size-fits-all Power Rangers hoodie. It is super warm. It does have a hood. That's flipping sweet. I know you're jealous. Got it for like 30 bucks from Home Goods. Go get you one. This is day 5, and we're going to be finishing up with the NL West. Talk about the LA Dodgers. Not only did they win the weakest division of baseball, but they also won the World Series. Now, I'll be honest, their path to their 9th title was pretty dominant. Over the 4 series that they had to get to the World Series, they lost 4 games, 3 of them in the freaking World Series. But yeah, wild card round, they beat the Reds 2-0. Who thought that was going to be a series at all? I didn't. In the NLDS, they beat the Phillies 3-1. I thought the Phillies were going to put more of a fight. I really did. Then the NLCS, they beat the Brew Crew 4-0. I thought that was going to be better than it was. I fully expected the Phillies to put up more of a fight. Didn't expect as much of a fight, but I expected like 1 game from the Brew Crew. I really did. And then they met the Blow Jays in the World Series, beat them 4-3. And you know what? If you're a Blow Jay fan, be faster from third, have better decision making, or, just cope. Like we mentioned before, this is the 9th World Championship for the Dodgers. They were tied for 3rd most overall with the Oakland Athletics, or just the Athletics. No, they were still the Oakland Athletics when they won those, because they ain't even got a city now. And the Red Sox. But then 2nd place is the Cardinals, and then 1st place is the, wait a minute, who's first? The Yankees. As we move on to the team leaders, I bet you're thinking Shohei's leading in everything. You're kind of right. Freddie Freeman led in doubles and average. So, yeah. With that being said, I'm not being nitpicky. I'm just trying to poke the bear. This was a down year for Ohtani. What? Ohtani, the best player in all of baseball, in the universe, in the history of baseball? Down year? Yeah, it was a down year, and let me tell you why. If we compare stats from 2024 to 2025, you will see that he had 25 less hits, 13 less doubles, 28 less RBIs, and most of all, 39 less stolen bases. What a drop-off. All of that also meant he had a 30-point drop in his batting average. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to say this is concern, but he is nearing 30. Once he gets on the wrong side of that, that decline is real. It is going to go way down. Might look to sell. It was so hard to get through that with a straight face. Shohei's going to be fine. He went from like a 50-50 year and like 130 RBIs down to like 100. That was good, but watch for the decline. Moving on from Shohei Ohtani, because we know he's pretty good and we don't want to harp on that. We're going to move to the meteoric rise of Andy Pages. I know it's Pages, but Pages just sounds funny. In any case, in 2024, he looked very mediocre. He had a very typical stat line for a bottom half or bottom third of the lineup hitter. And 2025, he decided he wanted, JK's not going to do anything. He wanted to get into the top half. He wanted to make a name for himself. And he was putting on a show. He made Dave Roberts think. Then Dave Roberts remembered he's got the best 1 through 9 lineup in all of baseball and kept Pages down, mainly hitting between 7 and 9. So, brother, you play for the Dodgers. You could be the best in the entire game. You would still get overshadowed. But in all seriousness, Pages absolutely broke out in 2025. More than doubled his home runs from 13 to 27, added 40 more RBIs, and stole 14 bases. He may not be a top of the lineup order guy in LA, but you look pretty much anywhere else, he is absolutely battling for maybe a 4th or 5th spot. Again, depending on leadoff and if you already have a DH, power hitter, anything like that. But Pages, if he keeps these numbers going, if he does not stay in LA, he is going to get a payday at the end of his contract. He'll go somewhere and maybe not put up as many numbers, but he is putting on a show right now, and he's expected to be a mainstay in the outfield for at least a few more years. Speaking of another guy who had an absolute crazy season, but especially in the playoffs, Teoscar Hernandez absolutely went off once he got to the playoffs and the World Series. Oh my goodness, the world was his oyster because he was putting on a show. The crazy thing is, in 2025, he is getting a little older. His numbers did fall, but this is the craziest part. His walks fell in half, in more than half, 53 to 26. But his strikeouts also fell by more than 50. And he was still batting top half of the lineup, so it's not like he wasn't getting as many at-bats. But I tell you one thing, that is a great stat or something great for the eye to see because he is a power hitter. Not stealing anywhere near as many bases as he was early in his career, or any at all, really, because look, if he's not trotting around the bases, he's trying to hustle out, leg out a single so someone else can bring him around, ideally Ohtani with a home run. But bottom line is, Teoscar Hernandez is still playing ball, and he is still a force to be reckoned with in that lineup. Moving on to someone who's not as much of a force to be reckoned with in any lineup anymore, Mookie Betts. Now, he's probably knocking down more pins than he is home runs now, but his last season in 2025 wasn't as bad as it might have seemed. He absolutely has fallen off from the player he was in Boston and initially in LA, but again, not as bad. His batting average did fall by about 30 points, but slugging went up by 85. OPS went up by 130. He had 20 more runs, 20 plus more hits, did hit one more home run, and stole a few more bases. He's going to still make amazing plays, so he will wow you with his glove. But again, the balls are not flying off the bat like they used to. He's not legging out steals like he used to. The doubles, triples, not necessarily going to be a big thing anymore, but he is still producing. Another guy that is assumed to have regressed is Max Muncy. Now, he was never sexy, but he is consistent. Consistently hurt, that's what. But this idea that he's not as good or he has regressed is because he keeps missing games. It's because of injury, or maybe they're trying to get someone else in. Miguel Vargas was the big name, a few years ago, trying to get him in some playing time. Great eye, but let's also take a chill pill. Let's look at what Max Muncy did. He improved in hits. He improved in home runs. He improved in RBIs. He improved in walks, and he improved in his average. So again, he is not going to be this sexy, probably top 150 pick in fantasy. But if you ask anyone on the Dodgers who they want to play third, they'll probably say, oh, Max. As we move on to some other key players in this Dodgers lineup, I forgot I didn't have this light on, the big light on, but not this light on, so that's why it looks brighter. So let's move on to the next player, Hae-Sung Kim, coming over from KBO. He was pretty good over there, okay? But there was definitely a performance gap when he initially got here. Now, over 71 games in Major League level, he performed admirably, okay? 314 batting average and did steal double-digit bases, well, 13 bases. So that was pretty good. But he's not going to be the powerhouse. He never really was a powerhouse. He's going to contribute, but right now, you have Tommy Edman, who is at second, and he has more potential, more home run potential. Moving to short, that could be where Mookie is. There are a few other guys that have, the third down lockdown. We talked about Max Muncy. So Kim is going to be an injury-dependent guy. Now, once he gets a chance, if he does get a chance, he's going to do well. He's not going to be anything that's like, holy cow, exciting, next superstar, but he's going to contribute, just like everyone else on this team. Now, someone who didn't contribute as much as they wanted to was James Outman. Made a huge bit of noise his rookie year. Absolutely had all of us salivating because of how much he was doing right. He could do no wrong in the outfield or at the plate. It felt like a fever dream looking back because he was doing everything you wanted a rookie to do. Hitting home runs, stealing bases, making plays in the outfield. But then the sophomore slump hit, and good Lord, did it hit. I don't know if there's ever been one like it. We've talked about a few guys. Jonathan India had a huge fall off. Let's see. Britton Doyle had a pretty big fall off. But Royce Lewis, his fall off was during the year. Rookie year, came on super strong, then got hurt. hitting a home run, hurt his knee. Those were pretty bad drop-offs, but James Outman? So bad they didn't even have him on the team by the end of the year. And even then, he went over to the Twins and did even worse. As we move on to the pitching, I can only assume everyone's saying, oh, let's talk about Shohei here. Nope, not this year. And if Yoshi has anything to say about it, probably not for the next few years. Yoshinobu Yamamoto absolutely came on strong, improved his 2024 numbers, and had a crazy run to win World Series MVP. During the year, he pitched 173 innings, struck out more than 200, had 18 quality starts, had 12 wins, carried a 2.95 ERA with a sub-1 whip, and only got better in the playoffs. He allowed 3 earned runs for a total of a 1.11 whip and a 1.45 ERA, and all of those stats led to 5 wins. What a wild stat line and a wild 2025 for Yoshi. This guy is the real deal. So we know that Yamamoto and Ohtani are going to be 2 mainstays in that rotation. Is there anyone else? Are they all fading? Are they old? Nope, they're actually pretty young. Emma Shaheen, over 15 appearances in 73 innings, had 89 strikeouts, a 2.82 ERA, and a sub-1 whip. That is not a bad stat line for Shaheen, right? As we move on to Jack Dreyer, he was able to appear in 67 games, have 76 innings pitched, only started 5 games, so more of a piggybacker and or reliever. But in those 76 appearances, he was able to accumulate a 2.95 ERA and a 1.05 whip. Again, not bad at all. The last guy in the rotation that's more of a piggybacker or secondary guy is Ben Kasparius. Now, it's not going to seem too sexy once I tell you this stuff, but he is prone to some blowups. There were 3 times in which he gave up 6 earned runs. Now, whether that was starting or whether that was relieving, it was still 6 earned runs. Also, there were 4 times in which he gave up between 2 and 3 earned runs by going 2 or less innings pitched. And then he also gave up 3 earned runs with 0 outs in 1 game. Those accounted for 18 of his 40 earned runs he gave up. He was able to pitch 77 innings. Again, very few if any starts, but did the piggyback thing. So even the piggyback, that could be 1 to 3 or 4 innings. So you do the math. He appeared quite a bit. He made sure that he kept the team in the game most of the time, and he limited those 8 games to where he absolutely imploded to only the 8 games, making up almost half of what he gave up the entire season. Now on the other side, we have to talk about the guys who disappointed. First of all, Blake Snell. Not because he performed that bad, although coming back from the injury, he was a little rusty with a 1.26 whip, but only made 11 starts. Then we talked about Dustin May being shipped off because they don't allow his crap anymore, but he showed so much promise in his first few years and in his capped innings when they were limiting him. Showed so much promise. He looked so good, and then he absolutely imploded. They shipped him off. This next guy, I went ahead and sat back because I was so annoyed even thinking about this. Not even gonna look at the stats I have written down because I'm just gonna talk about how pissed off I was. Not only did I draft this guy pretty early on in my Dynasty League, but yeah, he disappointed. He disappointed at home. He looked so bad again. I think it was the Mariners. I mean, who thought that Cal Raleigh was going to do the crazy stuff that he did this year? But yeah, Rogi Saki did not look good. Walks galore. Did not even start that many games until the doctors were like, this guy is not the guy. He's a reliever. He picked up a save last year. This is like supposed to be a frontline guy. Next Ohtani's like doing everything he does, but like numbers wise, coming over from Japan, dude, you're supposed to be good. You were not good. There's some other pitchers that did contribute. Obviously, we have Tyler Glasnow. We have Ohtani. We also have the guy named Clayton Kershaw. Has a pretty good history of pitching, but they didn't really do a whole lot. They didn't go many innings. So I mean, Tyler, made of glass now and later, barely was able to go 5 innings several times. But that bullpen was so good. They had 7 guys with 10 or more holds. Now, early on, it was the Tanner Scott show. Even though he had 13 blown saves this year, good Lord, you're putting up Clay Holmes numbers there, man. But they brought in Diaz, and it is going to be his show for show, unless he gets hurt in the World Baseball Classic again. He's going to be tough for anyone to really say anything bad about this pitching staff, other than they may not go as long or qualify for the wins like you'd want them to. But that bullpen, whoo-hoo, so many guys to pick from. Moving on to the prospects, the Dodgers have 7 in the top 100. That's pretty good. We're not going to talk about all of them, but you do need to know that 3 of them are at high A or single A. 3 of them are at double A, and 1 was just caught up for 29 games in the major leagues. So the one we're going to talk about just a little bit is Kyle Freeland, not the pitcher for the Rockies, but this guy who can play second, short, and third. So lots of abilities. Depending on injuries, he could be called up, but again, there's so much talent in that offense. Calling up a rookie who still has minor league options and has time to develop, not smart to do. Now we're going to move to the fantasy assets. All of them. Okay, now my bold prediction. Ohtani is not going to have that great of a year. Let me look. He will not hit 40 home runs, and he will not have 100 RBIs. That's a bold prediction. Next bold prediction, Kyle Tucker, even though he's looking high as all get out most of the time, should be, doing stuff with Cody Bellinger more often. But I feel like he's going to have the most stolen bases on the team. He does have a little bit of competition, though, with Ohtani, essentially. And the last bold prediction, this rotation is going to have 4 10-game winners, but no one is going to pitch over 200 innings. Now, we know that's not going to be Glasnow. I don't think Ohtani's going to push himself like that. Yamamoto barely got over 200 last year, and Blake Snell, he might not even start the year with the team. He's going to start him on the IL. So we have a few who could hit the 200 mark. I doubt they're going to, so I feel safe, at least with the not hitting 200. Now, the 4 10-game winners, who knows? It's really going to depend on how long they are in. Now, Ben Kasparius could be one of those pitchers because he's a piggyback guy, secondary guy. I really don't want it to be 3 starters and a relief pitcher, but again, I just said 4 pitchers. I said in this rotation, so I guess they would be starters. In any case, I think 4 starters will end up being 10-game winners. I also totally forgot to do the arrivals and departures. So let's go ahead and get to the people that left. Clayton Kershaw finally called it a career. Went out a champion, so, good for him. Also lost Dustin May because he's pretty terrible. Kirby Yates, that's going to be a big loss. He was doing very well in that bullpen when actually he was playing, but between injuries, and I think he had some stuff going on with family, some personal issues. So he was out for a little bit. And then, of course, James Outman, because he could not figure out how to hit the broadside of a barn. As far as the guys coming in, we know Tucker, we know Diaz. We also have to look at Cole Irvin, who could very well slot into that rotation, maybe back in, or 6th or 7th or 8th guy in that rotation. We also brought in Michael Ciani, outfielder that was originally with the Cardinals. He could be a sleeper guy, okay? Got some power, got some speed, so could very well be like a Jason Hayward. And I'm not putting them in the same sentence saying they do the same thing, but if they need a speedster in the outfield, need someone to come in, pinch hit, Ciani could be that guy. And the one guy I'm most excited about, probably won't even get to play, but Esteury Ruiz. Loved this guy. He was my boy. I hope he gets back on track. Forgot how to hit in the athletics organization. Could steal a ton of bases. I actually hit like 68 or 69. Nice. Back in like 2023, 2024. So yeah, I'm really hoping he figures it out because he's my boy. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for the NL West. Wrapping up day 5. We're going to be heading to day 6, and we're going to be starting on the AL Central. And the first team we're talking about, the Chicago White Sox. The south side of Chicago is going to be where we're traveling tomorrow. Make sure you bring your mace or something to keep safe in because Chicago's a crazy city. I'm looking forward to it. We still have 25 days of this. I am so excited. And one of my fantasy drafts was just planned. So I have, another 24, 25 days for that. So again, I'm pumped. World Baseball Classic starts next week. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I'm excited. This is JK. And I'll thank you for sharing part of your day with me.